Hey, welcome back to the Unbiased Room. You know what this weekend is, man. It's championship weekend, and that's what we're going to be talking about. Power Fives only. All right, so starting off on Friday, we get a rematch of Washington and Oregon at 8 p.m. Eastern, right? Washington won the first meeting back in the middle of October, 36-33. So the line opened up at Oregon minus 8.5, but it's only moved a point since then at minus 9.5. Why do y'all think Oregon is more than a touchdown favorite in this meeting?
It seems like Washington the last couple of weeks have been struggling with teams they shouldn't be struggling with, right? Especially since they're considered one of the premier offenses in college football. And otherwise, you see in Oregon, they took that L personally, and they just went out there and kept playing, kept balling, right? Uh, Going back to that first game, I mean, there were two plays away from Oregon winning that game. It wasn't
Yeah.
like they were mismatched at all. I think there was a bad rollout play in the end zone where you took the option away from the quarterback there because you only gave him a small part of the field to play, to throw to, and you got him
Mhm.
mobile, right? You change that play around, it works. We might have a different outcome, but on ESPN, they are heavily favored. They're at 76% win percentage for Oregon and just 24 for Washington, which you know I think it's a little lopsided. I think it's gonna be a close game again, but it's gonna be entertaining, man. Bo Nix is playing lights out.
Like you said, 2 plays away from them winning that last game. You are already dealing with limited plays when you get in the red zone, right? You can't cut the field in half when you go. I don't know. It didn't make no sense to me, but I think they lost that game to coaching. Um, but I think Oregon is going to win this game. All right, moving on to the Big 12. Texas and Oklahoma State are set to kick off Saturday at noon Eastern. The line opened at 11 and a half, well, minus 11 and a half in favor of the Longhorns, but since then has climbed to minus 15 and a half. What are y'all thoughts on this game?
Texas, for real, Texas just needs to play all four quarters of football and they win this game, right? That's been kind of like the last couple of weeks, man. I just been seeing it where y'all jump out to a big lead. Y'all got an explosive offense, a good team, a good defense, but I don't know if y'all sleepwalk through the third quarter or something, and then you know it's a close game when it shouldn't be. So, but I got Texas winning. I don't think Oklahoma State is as talented as Texas. Um, Texas has more, I guess, they're battle tested more than Oklahoma. So I definitely Texas all the way.
I know Ollie Gordon has been having a heck of a season, but I think that Texas is going to be too much for them. They're a team that they have an explosive offense. I mean, they were down at halftime against BYU and came storming back, beat them in double OT. So I don't know if they. I think they can hang with Texas for a half, but they won't win the game.
I think the game starts and ends in the trenches. And I think our D line is going to be, if you look at the stats, right, statistically speaking, Texas Tech offensive line is better than Oklahoma State's. And, we dominated Texas Tech offensive line, right? I think they only finished with like 113 yards passing and like 80 something rushing yards. So, and that's because that was our ability to affect the quarterback, right? We're fourth in the country in stopping a run. We're first in third down defense and first in red zone defense. And Oklahoma State, they don't have a lot of explosive plays. They kind of hand the ball off to Ollie Gordon, and he's picking up 6 yards a clip, 6 yards a clip. Because Alan Bowman, you know, he's a scholarship quarterback, right? But he's trash. All right. He has more interceptions than he has touchdowns this year, right? So he has 11 interceptions and 10 touchdowns. And they just haven't been able to do a lot through the air. So I don't think that's going to change. We're going to make them one dimensional and we're going to shut that down. And I think we're going to cover.
Yeah, I think y'all do, man. I don't think Oklahoma State is like I said. I've looked at their three losses, and I mean UCF is in there too. UCF has a good offense, but not a 45-3 beat down like they did to Oklahoma State. So, Yeah, y'all covered that game.
I think Texas wins the game, but they don't cover. I think Oklahoma State comes to play. Mike Gundy is a good coach.
Oh, hell of a coach, man.
Yeah, and I think he's going to have Oklahoma State ready to play, but at the end of the day, they just don't have the horses to compete with Texas, right, for 4 quarters.
You know, we can go 3 deep on the offensive line and the defensive line, man. It's going to be too much.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be too much for them.
4 quarters, though, Texas. 4 quarters. It's not 2.5.
We did it last week versus Tech. All right, moving on to the SEC. That game comes on at 4 p.m. Eastern in Atlanta. Georgia versus Alabama. The line opened up at Georgia -4. Since then, that line has moved to Georgia -5.5. What are y'all thoughts on this game?
I think Georgia wins this game, man. As much as Alabama has improved and Jalen Milroe has improved, right? It's not the same team that lost to Texas earlier in the year. Nick Saban has coached his team up. But I think they walk into a team in Georgia that's on a mission for a 3-peat. And I think Georgia takes it.
I'm going to go ahead and let Ron go last since he's a Bama fan. Not so fast, my friend. And I'm going to tell you why. Right? Georgia cannot stop the run. They struggled with Georgia Tech and Haynes King, the same Haynes King that transferred from Texas A&M to Georgia Tech. I think he ran for close to 100 yards on Georgia, right? He kept Georgia Tech in that game, and he is nowhere near the athlete that Jalen Milroe is, right? Georgia cannot stop inside zone and outside zone run plays. They're going to get exposed by Alabama, and I got Alabama winning by a touchdown.
By a touchdown?
By a touchdown.
Let me counter your point before we let Ron go, because we already know what Ron can say. Bama struggled with Auburn last week. Auburn is terrible.
Hey,
New Mexico State,
Iron Bowl, man.
New Mexico State.
You can when it comes to the Iron Bowl, Red River Shootout, rivalry games like that, you can go ahead and throw those games out the window. None of that stuff matters. This is the SEC Championship, and Georgia. What I think Kirby Smart has only beat Nick Saban 1 out of 5 times. Yeah, he's not going to make it 2. So, yeah, he's 1 for 4 versus Saban. He's about to be 1 for 5.
All right. So, I do think Bama will win. It's all dependent on how good Jalen Milroe plays. Jalen Milroe is the key for Bama. Jalen Milroe is that weapon that Alabama needs to frustrate the Georgia defense. To go back to what AB was saying, this Georgia defense is not that defense of 21 and 22. They have struggled running sideline to sideline. And if Bama utilizes Jalen Milroe, like run him like they've never run him before, and then that starts to open up the passing game. And, as we know, he has one of the strongest arms in college football.
Yeah.
Georgia has not really faced a team like Alabama. And, it's crazy, right? Like looking at one of the shows on TV, Bama is really the only team in the country as of right now that can match up with Georgia body for body. And, usually, like I said, you may have a Texas, right, or Michigan. You can say that, right? But as of right now, they're saying that their toughest test is going to be Alabama. Bama got the corners, they got the linebackers, they got the the defensive line to pressure Carson Beck. Carson Beck hasn't seen nothing like this except for on his side, at practice. So I think Bama's gonna come in. They're the underdogs. That's the way they like it. Georgia's the favorite, so all the pressure's on them. So, I think Bama's gonna come in and win. If he's playing well, like the LSU game, the Kentucky game, I don't see Georgia being able to stop him.
I don't either. And I don't think Brock Bowers is playing, right? Is he playing?
Well, So him and Lad McConkey sat out in the Georgia Tech game. They held them out because they've been battling bruises. They wanted them close to 100% against Bama.
So
all they need to do, right? Personally, I think if whatever defense Bama's gonna play, if they drop in, 5 in the coverage, because Georgia, they're kind of a balanced team, but they have to bracket Brock Bowers. They got to bracket him the entire game. You cannot let one man kill you in the passing game.
Now, I know what you were saying earlier, Ron. When it comes to like 5-star, 4-star, and 3-star, Bama's I think Georgia and Bama have the most. And I think we broke this down earlier in the season. They have loaded rosters where starter goes down, they have a 3-star or 4-star and up covering down. So, and I think that's what they were talking about when they came to talent wise. But I don't know, man. Jalen Milroe, big game. I think it's a lot of you're putting a lot of pressure on one player to be a difference maker. I don't think he meets the mark. It's going to be a good game. By no means, I think it's not going to be like 2 touchdowns or whatever. Either way, it's going to be a close one. I think the Iron Bowl was pretty good for him. Having to pass the ball to win it. That's boosting him up. But I think in this game, Georgia comes away with it, and I'm thinking it's going to be like a field goal type game. So
okay, all right, moving on to the Big Ten, where I really don't think we have to spend too much time on this game. Michigan and Iowa. Michigan is the line was at 22. It went down a half a point there, 21.5. But I think Jim Harbaugh is going to come in, prove a point, and blow the doors off them. And yeah, I think it's going to be ugly. I think they'll be able to hang in there that first half, but coming after halftime, they don't get the score ran up on them.
Man, shout out to Iowa for being there, being in the moment. But that's about it. They ain't gonna do nothing else with it. Enjoy the moment. That's it. Michigan by none.
All right, moving on to the ACC, who has the same kickoff time as the Big Ten game. But I think all eyes are going to be on this game, just because of the committee and Florida State not having Jordan Travis, and we'll see how that ends up. But that's another story for another time. But this line opened up at Florida State -4.5, and it since went down to -2.5. And I really don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. What do you guys think?
I do think that Florida State is going to win the game. However, I think Louisville is going to make it very, very uncomfortable for them the entirety of the game. I think Florida State is going to win. I do. But I think Louisville they've beaten some good teams, and I just think they're going to make it very uncomfortable for Florida State.
I want what the entire SEC, the entire Big 12, everybody else want. I want Florida State to lose. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm sipping the 100% haterade right now. I want them out of there, man. Especially Jordan Travis not being there, it actually gives Louisville a very good chance of winning this game, right? With Jordan Travis, I'm like, nah, Florida State takes this game. Louisville they will sit there and they will make a game of it until the fourth quarter, right? But I'm gonna go with the underdog on this one. Let's go Louisville, man. Make Lamar Jackson proud,
Yeah, as a Texas fan, where we're sitting out right now, I would love nothing more than Florida State to lose on Saturday. Because I think that game has big implications on the committee's decision making. And that's not to knock off, the backup quarterback. I can't remember his name right now.
Tate Rodemaker.
Tate Rodemaker. But he's not Jordan Travis. And the team is not the same without him. And you've seen that last week in the Florida game. I think Louisville is going to make it tough on them defensively and put pressure on them to score points because they can score. So I'm picking Louisville, but by, a second on the clock field goal to win the game by 1.
I got Florida State winning by a field goal. I think they'll pull it out. The talent, you got two playmakers in Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson, and you got a bell cow in Trey Benson. So
yeah,
you still got a good, some good players on the defensive side, and Jared Verse. I just think Florida State will end up pulling it out, even though I don't want them to, but I think they will.
Hey, man, one can hope, man.
I know.
You just imagine, though, implications if they lose.
Appreciate you guys tuning in to the Bias Room. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell us how we're doing. Take care.